Hey everyone, it's Sarah, and today I am back to do, such a fun video. These kinds of perfumes are my favorite kinds of perfumes to talk about. Today we are going to be talking about cozy, warm weather fragrances. So I have got 16 here. I tried to stop at 15, but we ended up with 16. I could have kept going because I've got so many of these types of fragrances in my collection. I love cozy fragrances. So whether it's hot out or cold out, I am always looking for something that's going to be like super cozy and comforting. Let me know. I could do a part 2 to this video. So after you guys watch this, if you liked it, let me know in the comments down below if you would like me to do a part 2, and I would be happy to do that. But anyways, right now I'm going to jump right in. So I'm going to start with one of my favorite perfumes on the planet. I don't know how this didn't make it into my last, my 20 for life list. Somehow I overlooked this. This should have been in my 20 for life list. This is Like This from Etat Libre d'Orange. Oh, I love this perfume so much. This is a fragrance that I prefer to wear this in the cooler months, only because it performs better in the cooler months. But I think it smells better, or it's more appropriate for warm weather. This has got a whole bunch of different things in it. It's got ginger and immortelle flower. It's got pumpkin in it, but I don't really get the pumpkin. It's also got heliotrope in it, which I love heliotrope because it just brings a little bit of a powderiness to a fragrance. You don't get that kind of almondy heliotrope in this one. It's more just bringing that touch of powderiness to it. And it's also got, I think, some neroli and rose and musk and things, but I just adore it. There's something so incredibly comforting about this fragrance to me, and it is one that I absolutely reach for, even in the heat. Even though it doesn't perform as well in the heat, I love reaching for it in the heat because it's so warm weather appropriate. It's one of the coziest fragrances in my collection, which is, I think, why it's so near and dear to my heart. I just adore this perfume. But anyways, I've talked about it endlessly on this channel. I'm gonna stop now because I will gush about it forever. So anyways, that is Like This from Etat Libre d'Orange. Okay, this next one, this is a fragrance that I don't talk about on my channel often, and I don't even wear this one often, but I pulled it out because I'm going to start. This is the reformulation of Britney Spears Fantasy. I just have this pen spray. I need to go ahead and work through this pen spray and then buy a full bottle of it though, which I just ordered Fantasy Intense, which is on its way. I'm super excited to finally get my nose on it. I think I'm gonna love it. So the reformulation of Fantasy is kind of more kiwi heavy. It's a little bit fruitier, but it still has that really beautiful, sweet, creamy coziness to it that the original formulation has. It's just more, I would say, more warm weather appropriate than the original formulation. It's a little bit lighter, but it is still super warm, cozy. This one it's got quince in it. And quince is it's like such a distinctive smell. It almost gives it kind of a citrusy kick. And then I think it's got lychee in it. It's got that white chocolate cupcake note in it. This one has got orris root in it, which again gives it a little bit of that kind of a powderiness. You're gonna see a theme here with all of these fragrances because they're similar in their composition. But yeah, it's just beautiful. It's a more warm weather appropriate Fantasy that is still incredibly cozy. It still has just a touch of a kind of gourmand thing going on, and I just adore it. It's beautiful. So anyways, that is Fantasy from Britney Spears, and I never talk about the reformulated version of Fantasy. I talk about the stage edition a lot because it's the original formulation, but there's definitely a place for the reformulated version as well. Okay, next is a Shalimar flanker, and I love this perfume. Unfortunately, it's getting difficult to find. What we're talking about is Shalimar Cologne. This, when I bought my bottle, it was just like readily available, and then of course I buy it and start talking about it on my channel and it becomes like difficult to find, which I hate. But if you like Shalimar, or you were looking for a more seriously like citrus heavy, vanillic, version of Shalimar, that's what this is. This has got tons of citrus in the top. I think it's got like every citrus fruit, bergamot, lemon, lime, grapefruit, and then it's just got loads of vanilla in the base. There are flowers in the middle. I think it's got rose and jasmine in the middle, but it's mostly, this one's mostly about the citruses and the vanilla. But it still smells like Shalimar, but not scary Shalimar, not heavy, not like heavy, spicy, resinous Shalimar. It's like light, fluffy cloud, light, fluffy, billowy citric vanilla. It's beautiful. It's super, super cozy. It's a beast of a fragrance too. Anytime I wear this, I only have to spray it on once in the morning. I am good for the entire day. It blooms beautifully in the heat, and it is super, super cozy. It comforts me all day. So this is an amazing Shalimar flanker. I don't think it gets enough love. I don't hear people talking about this one very often. But if you do enjoy Shalimar, and if you ever run across this, I definitely recommend it. It's a good one. So anyways, that is Shalimar cologne. Next, we have got a Ralph Lauren fragrance, and I have tested this both, or I've worn this both in the heat and the cold, and I think I enjoy wearing it in the heat a little bit more. It's beautiful either way, but I feel like I just enjoy the heat a little more. This is Beyond Romance from Ralph Lauren, and this, it's got a lot of notes in it besides raspberry. It's got a lot of florals in the middle. It's got rose and I think jasmine and lily of the valley. It's got vanilla and like musks in the base and raspberry in the top. And you would think that the raspberry would kind of dissipate and it would go more floral, but that's just not the case, at least on me. This one is all about the raspberry and the vanilla. It's like this beautiful creamy raspberry fragrance. If I would not have had people tell me what this smells like, and if I would have gone by the notes, I probably wouldn't have picked it up, because to me, reading the notes, it looks like it's just going to be another generic floral, but that's just not the case at all. It really is like a creamy raspberry fragrance. But it's light enough from the florals to wear in the heat. But it is super cozy, again, because of that darn creamy vanilla, which just makes it stunning. It's beautiful. Again, it blooms beautifully in the heat, and I just adore it. So anyways, that is Beyond Romance from Ralph Lauren. This next one is newer to my collection, but it is an incredibly cozy warm weather fragrance. This is Utopia Cocoa. Sorry, I always say this backwards. I always say Utopia Cocoa Vanilla, but it's Utopia Vanilla Cocoa 21 from Kayali. And this is so beautiful. This is kind of like, I'd say this reminds me the most of Terracotta from Guerlain. That's what I get mostly from it. It's a white floral with coconut. So I would say it's mostly white floral, not mostly coconut. And then the sweetness and creaminess from the vanilla. So it's like this sweet, creamy, coconut, white floral fragrance. Sorry, that came out wrong. A sweet, creamy, white floral with coconut and vanilla. It's beautiful. It reminds me a lot of Terracotta, but it's a little bit creamier than Terracotta. Unfortunately, it performs just like Terracotta. It does not last long at all. It does better if you layer it over lotion. I have layered this over coconut lotion, and it was beautiful. That coconut cream pie lotion that I got from Bath & Body Works is incredible to layer over, because it's a warm coconut and it's not overly fragrant, so it's wonderful to layer perfumes over. That combination was really, really nice. But this is super cozy. It's a beautiful, cozy, creamy, coconut white floral fragrance, and I adore it. This is my favorite kind of perfume for the dead of the summer, because you still smell like summertime, but I mean, in my mind, it could be the middle of the fall and I could be in a cozy sweater and wrapped in a cozy blanket, because it's such a cozy perfume. So I adore this one. This is Kayali Utopia Vanilla Cocoa 21. I'm gonna have to speed it up here because we'll be here forever if I keep going on. This next one this perfume is so amazing, and it is so amazing in the heat. I will wear this any time of year, especially if I'm wanting a coconut for the cooler months. This is like the perfect fragrance, but this is an amazing cozy hot weather fragrance. This is Versace Crystal Noir. Now I have the original formulation of the EDP. I think that they've actually fixed the listings for this fragrance on Fragrantica, so I think it's reflecting correctly now. But this is the one with coconut in it. And this is basically just a super warm, sultry coconut gardenia fragrance. And it is perfect for the warm weather. It's one of those fragrances that is just, it's so warm, it just like radiates off your skin, but you still smell like weather appropriate. It still smells like summer. It's just an amazing fragrance. I really, really want to get a reformulated bottle at this point, because I would love to test them side by side. I've heard that the reformulation is not very good. But I just, at some point, I'm gonna end up picking up a reformulated bottle because I'm so curious about it. But anyways, that is Versace Crystal Noir, just the most beautiful coconut gardenia fragrance. A lot of these, well, actually, I think this next one I'm gonna talk about is the last one that has coconut in it. Coconut fragrances, if they're paired with vanilla or nuts, for me, they're the coziest, like best warm weather coconuts ever, and that's exactly what this one is. This one, I talked about this not too long ago, but I couldn't leave it out of this video because it's such an incredibly warm, comforting, cozy, like hot weather fragrance. This is Dolce & Gabbana Dolce Garden. Gosh, this is such an amazing perfume, and I know so many of you out there love it too. Some people, I've heard a few say that they don't like this one, but the overwhelming majority is that people love this. This is a beautiful, creamy, almondy coconut. It does have florals in it as well. This one has frangipani and ylang ylang, and it's got magnolia in it, which is weird. I don't get the magnolia at all. Magnolia is kind of a citric floral to me, and not surprisingly, the magnolia is in the top, and there's some mandarin and maybe some other citruses in the top as well with this one. And maybe that's why I don't get the magnolia, because it kind of blends in nicely with those citrus notes. But this one has vanilla absolute in it, which the vanilla absolute paired with the almond milk just gives it the most beautiful creaminess. This is one of the heaviest fragrances on this list for sure. I do feel like this one can get a little bit heavy because it is so creamy. And then with the coconut, it's quite a dense coconut. But I just love this so much. It's one of the coziest warm weather fragrances in my collection, hands down. This is one that, and it's a beast on me too. I can spray it on once in the morning. I'm good for the entire day. This is another one that can really be worn any time of year, but I just think it is the most beautiful, cozy, warm weather fragrance. So anyways, that is Dolce Garden from Dolce & Gabbana. Next, we've got a vanilla fragrance. I had 4 fragrances from this house in my collection. This is the only one that I kept. This is the La Maison de la Vanille, Vanille Noir du Mexique. And I kept this one because I get chocolate vibes from this. It doesn't have chocolate in it. It's got some, I think it's got jasmine and iris, and then vanilla in the base. And it must be the iris that gives it a little bit of a powderiness that kind of gives me that feeling of chocolate. But I love this fragrance. It's such a cozy warm weather vanilla. It's like a very creamy vanilla. You really don't get the flowers in this one at all. I never perceive flowers when I'm wearing this perfume. This one to me is just this really creamy, almost chocolatey smelling vanilla. It's super yummy. It's super cozy. It works beautifully in the heat. In fact, I think this one, if I remember correctly, this one actually performs way better in the heat than it does in the cold weather. But yeah, it's a great cozy fragrance. So that is Vanille Noir du Mexique from La Maison de la Vanille. This next one, this is an Estero fragrance, and this is actually perfume in a roller ball, but you can get this in you can get it in a spray perfume as well as an oil. Oh my gosh, this is called Heaven Boy. And it's a combination of the Heaven Scent fragrance and the Indigo Boy perfume. So it's called Heaven Boy, and it is incredible. This is another one that can be worn any time of year, but I love this one in the warmer weather. It's so good. There are no notes listed. I don't believe she lists the notes really on her website, but it's kind of a combination of that kind of musty citrus from the Heaven scent, and then this warm, really light, sweet patchouli from the Indigo Boy, and the combination of the two is insane. It is so good. I know one of you out there bought this Heaven Boy scent and you're obsessed with it too. Oh my gosh, it is so, so good. There's something so cozy and comforting about this fragrance. It's so warm and it blooms beautifully in the heat. This one lasts a really long time. It does wear a little bit closer to the skin, but it's one that you will smell all day on yourself. Oh my gosh, it's just so, so good. So anyways, that is Heaven Boy from Estero. It's amazing. Next, this is a discontinued scent, but this is such a cozy fragrance and is perfect for warm weather. I couldn't leave this one out. This is Glowing from JLo, and this is like a fresh, kind of slightly green leaning fragrance. It's got flowers in it. It's got like violet and I think some Lily of the Valley. It's got vanilla in the base. I think it's got some sandalwood, and it is slightly, I think it's got some vetiver in it as well. It's slightly green leaning, and there's nothing in here that should smell slightly powdery, but it does to me. It smells just slightly powdery, like it could have like some orris in it or a little bit of iris or something. It's got this really beautiful, comforting, very slight powderiness to it, but it's green leaning and it's just very slightly sweet. It's a really, really interesting fragrance. It's very difficult to explain as well, but it is super, super cozy smelling because of whatever is in it, whatever combination of notes is giving me that kind of slightly powdery vibe. That is what makes it incredibly cozy, but it's perfect in the heat. It's a great hot weather perfume. I just love it. It's very difficult to explain. This one is not easy to find anymore, but oh man, is it a good one. So anyways, that is Glowing from JLo. This next one is another super comforting, cozy, warm weather fragrance. And the reason for that is because this one's got lavender in it. This is Elizabeth and James French Grey, and oh my gosh, this one is so good. These fragrances are only 3 notes. This one is neroli, lavender, and musk. And you get the crispness from the neroli, like the fresh neroli, but the lavender is a fresh lavender. But paired with the musks, it's super comforting. It's like really cozy. It's bright and clean and perfect for hot weather, but the musk lavender combination is such a comforting combination. So this would make a great bedtime scent, I bet. I've never worn it to bed, but I have a feeling this would be an amazing bedtime fragrance. I need to leave this one out because I need to wear this. It's so good. I just love it. So yeah, this one is, it's definitely a very cozy, comforting lavender, and I love it, but still super fresh. Lavender really can be worn any time of year. You can wear lavender in the heat. I probably wouldn't wear my like Lancome L'Avance Trianon in this kind of super humid heat because that might be a little much, but most lavenders will work in heat. But this one is such a fresh lavender, but paired with the musks, it makes it so cozy, but it's still really clean. It's just a great perfume, and it's a really underrated gem. I don't hear people talk about French Grey very much, but boy, do I love it. So anyways, that is Elizabeth and James French Grey. Next, we have got another Britney Spears fragrance on this list, and it's because Britney Spears fragrances in general are incredibly cozy smelling to me. This one is really fruity, but it's still super cozy smelling. This is VIP Private Show. Now don't get me wrong, I will bust out Private Show, like the original Private Show, in the middle of summer as well. I love it. But there's something about VIP Private Show. It's like juicy fruit. And this one is. It actually is mostly fruits and flowers. There's nothing in it to make it creamy. It's not like vanilla, or there's no iris or anything in it, or orris. But it's got violet in it. And I think it's the violet that kind of tones down the fruits and gives it this like cozy feeling. This one has got, I think it's got orange or mandarin orange. It's got apple in it. It's got flowers. I think this one's got magnolia too, which is weird because I don't get the magnolia at all. But it's got some flowers. I believe it's got jasmine. It's got mango in it as well. It's got mango. And then it's got, I think, woods and musks in the base. There's something really beautiful about it. It is like a fruity scent, but again, there's something about the violet in it that really grounds it and keeps it from being, I don't know, it doesn't even feel like a fruity fragrance to me. It feels, I don't know, this is another one that's hard for me to explain. Oh, but I love it. There's something really, really cozy about it. I love pulling this one in the summer and wearing this. It's a beast of a fragrance on me too. This one lasts absolutely forever on me. And yeah, I love it. It's just such a good, cozy, warm weather fragrance. So anyways, that is VIP Private Show from Britney Spears. This next one, this one is such a funny perfume. The perfume inside does not match this bottle at all. This is from Pascal Morabito, and this is called Pure Pearl. This is such a cozy fragrance. Oh my gosh, it is so good. With a name like Pure Pearl, you would think that it would be like a clean, light fragrance, and that's just not what this is at all. This one has pear and gardenia and some heliotrope and tonka bean in the base. So the tonka bean, which I adore, gives it the most beautiful coziness to it. You get a little bit of the gardenia. It's sweet. It's sweet from the pear. It's got like bergamot in the top, but this is mostly about the pear and the tonka bean. That's really what you get, plus the gardenia. I definitely get the gardenia as well. Yeah, this one is all about pear, tonka bean, and gardenia, and it is so beautiful. This is a good all year round fragrance, but I love to wear this one in the heat. I feel like it performs a little bit better in the heat, even though I feel like it's a little bit more suited for the fall. This one is definitely a little bit more on the heavy side. It's pretty sweet from that pear, really in the gardenia, and then just so cozy from the tonka bean. I just adore this fragrance so much. I love it in the heat because number one, it performs better in the heat. Number two, it's super cozy. This one makes you feel like you're wearing a fall fragrance, but in the warm weather, and I adore it. So yeah, this is another super underrated gem. I never hear anybody talk about this fragrance, and it is so, so good. If you love pear, I think you would love this. If you love tonka bean, I think you would love this. It's just such a good perfume. So anyways, that is Pascal Morabito Pure Pearl. There are a lot of these I'm gonna leave out, and you guys will see them come up in a what I wore last week video because I forget how much I love them until I pull them for videos, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't worn you in so long. Next, we've got a Zara perfume. This is Zara Femme. This is another one that I feel like you could wear this any time of year. I prefer this in the heat. I feel like it performs better in the heat for me. It's definitely more of, I think, like a cold weather fragrance though. Oh gosh, I love it. People compare this to Hypnotic Poison, and I don't get Hypnotic Poison at all from this. This one is like peony, and it's got tonka bean in it. It's got vanilla in it, and I think some musk. And that's basically what I get from it. It's mostly like the peony and the tonka bean and the musks. I love this one. It's super cozy. It's pretty generic smelling. There's nothing groundbreaking at all, but it is one of my favorite Zara fragrances from this really inexpensive line, that like their kind of main perfume line. Or it's definitely one of the ones that I like more. It's really pretty. I don't get Hypnotic Poison at all. It does remind me a little bit. People also say that they feel like it smells like Kenzo Amore, which I also have in my collection. I think it smells a little bit more like Kenzo Amore than it does Hypnotic Poison. But Kenzo Amore is so much more beautiful than this. It's so much more complex, and It's got that rice note in it, which gives it a little bit of like a powderiness. It's super cozy. That's another fragrance that would be great in the heat, I think. I'm gonna test that. I'm gonna try Kenzo Amore in the heat, and I will let you guys know. I've never tried it in the warm weather before. Oh, but yeah, I love Femme. I think this is a great cozy warm weather perfume that is really, really inexpensive. So anyways, that is Zara Femme. I'm gonna get off on tangents here. Okay, next we have, I just wore this perfume in the heat and it was stunning in the heat. This is Christian Dior Dune. Dune is such a vintage smelling fragrance. It's got Brazilian rosewood in it, which is also in like Poison, and I think it's even in Hypnotic Poison. It's a note that Christian Dior uses a lot, but this has got such a beautiful, like dry, I mean, Dune is like the perfect name for it. It kind of reminds you of like a hot sand dune. It's a pretty dry smelling. It's got aldehydes in it. It's got some citruses in it. It's got florals in the middle. I believe it's ylang ylang, rose, jasmine, but then you get the beautiful base. It is amber and patchouli and vanilla, and I think it's got some oak moss in it. So it ends up smelling almost like kind of a vintagey, light, dry amber fragrance, really, is what it ends up smelling like. It's perfect in the heat. It's such a beautiful fragrance. I adore this. I layered it over the Fairy Tale lotion from Bath & Body Works, which is a little bit sweeter, and it just was such a beautiful combination. It was a combination that had been recommended to me by a subscriber, and I think it's going to end up being a go-to for me this summer because it's just stunning. But yeah, I just love Dune. If you like kind of vintage leaning fragrances, I think you would really like this perfume. If you don't, I don't think you would like it at all, but I love this. It's stunning. It is the most comforting fragrance probably on this list, just because it smells kind of vintagey to me, and vintage smelling to me is comfort in a bottle. So this one is, yeah, I would say of all of these, this is probably the most comforting smelling fragrance to me. So anyways, that is Dune from Christian Dior. I need to get my hands on, I need to try to see if I can find either a decant or a mini or something of an original formulation bottle, or maybe I'll get lucky and I'll find a whole bottle, which is probably not likely, but I'll try. I can dream. Okay, and then last but not least, this is such an amazing perfume. I do not talk about this one enough, but I think the reason I don't is because it's so expensive. This is Zoologist Bee, and this might be the second most cozy, comforting fragrance on this list. This is such a beautiful, like very complex honey fragrance, but it is so much more than just honey. It's got so many notes in it. It's got beeswax in it too, which it gives it that kind of, it gives it a little bit of a waxiness, which is what I love. I think that's what makes this one so cozy. It's also got ginger in it, and ginger is just a super comforting, cozy note to me. Again, it's got heliotrope, so you get a little bit of a powderiness. It's got broom in it. There's just something about this. The waxiness of the beeswax, a little bit of a powderiness from the heliotrope, and then the broom, which gives it almost like a, I don't know, it almost has like a hay-like kind of vibe. It's so beautiful. This one, it's just so complex and so unlike anything I've ever smelled before, which is why this one, if this one weren't so expensive, this would have definitely been in my top 20 for life, but I would never want to have to afford to buy another bottle of this, so which is why I didn't have it in my top 20 for life, but it is definitely in my like for life perfumes. I cannot imagine this not being in my collection. I just adore it so much. It's an absolute beast. This thing lasts forever. It's almost got a little bit of an incensey quality to it as well, and it almost has a little bit of an animalic quality to it as well, but without being like an offensive animal scent in any way. I don't know, it's as if you're smelling like a bumblebee that just came out of the middle of a flower and you're in a hay field, and I don't know, this one's really hard to explain, but I love it. It is incredibly comforting, incredibly cozy, perfect. You can wear it any time of year. I mean, it's perfect. You can wear it any time of year, but it is stunning in the heat. Oh, I just love this so, so much. So anyways, that is Zoologist Bee, such a stunner. So anyways, guys, those are a whole bunch of cozy warm weather fragrances that I love to wear in the heat. So let me know if you want to see a part 2. I have plenty to do another part 2. I do hope that you all enjoyed this. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.